Hey kiddos, week 6, day 3. You guys are going to learn more about zebra mussels than you ever knew you wanted to know. We had it easy the last 2 days. Today's is kind of lengthy. So, it's entitled Zebra Mussels and the Hudson River. And it goes from, page 584 to 596. That's a lot. Here we go. A team of scientists in the Carey Institute of Ecosystem Studies has been researching the Hudson River ecosystem since 1986. Many changes have occurred along the river during this time, from economic development to the arrival of new species. Scientists have investigated how these changes affect the river and its aquatic life. Their research makes the Hudson River one of the most analyzed rivers in the world. Zebra mussels were transported to the United States in the water in the bottom compartments of cargo ships traveling from Europe to the Great Lakes. Waterways connect the Hudson River to the Great Lakes, so the Carey Institute scientists knew it was just a matter of time before zebra mussels would show up in the Hudson River. And since they had already begun collecting data on the river, they were in a unique position to understand the impact of the invasion. Scientists don't usually have data about a lake or river until the new species appears. Their approach was to study the whole Hudson River ecosystem, both biotic, living, and abiotic, non-living factors, and the interactions between them. So, this is going to be fun. I'm going to start up here, here, and here. Okay? So look closely. A scuba diver collected this rock from the bottom of the Hudson River. It's covered with zebra mussels. How many do you think there are? Remember in the last one they said how many could live in just 1 square foot? It was like thousands. They're gross. I've never seen them in person. It just sounds gross. Alright, powered by the sun. Photosynthesis is the chemical process in which green plants and phytoplankton make food from carbon dioxide and water using sunlight or light as an energy source. Alright, making predictions. Based on the Hudson's water chemistry, its river bottom, and other conditions, scientists predicted zebra mussels would thrive in the river. But the bigger question was, how would these zebra mussels affect the food web? Based on previous studies, scientists estimated how much plankton the zebra mussels could filter out of the water. Phytoplankton and zooplankton are microscopic organisms that are 2 critical components of the river's food web. The numbers suggested the impact of zebra mussels on the river could be huge. Okay, so I'm going to go, here, 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 and then we'll go over boom, 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 boom. Okay? So I'm kind of going to go back and forth as I go down. Alright. Hudson River Ecosystem Food Web. The web shows how different parts of the Hudson River ecosystem interact with one another. Anything that happens to part of the web has an effect on the rest of the web. And that was this little picture right here. Okay? I know everything's so tiny. If you guys would look at those files that I attached to the assignments, everything's in color and it's a little bit bigger and it's a lot easier to see. Alright. Monitoring the river. Scientists have combined 2 approaches to studying the river's ecosystem. A spatial approach, in which water samples are taken from a transect of the river. A transect is a group of closely spaced locations along the river. This data helps scientists analyze how changes relate to the geography. And a temporary approach, in which samples are taken from the same 6 locations 4 to 6 times from May through October. This is the growing session, when organisms are most active. Data is also collected from 1 location during the winter months, and by collecting data from the same location for over 20 years, scientists can study changes over time. Biotic factors. Remember, biotic is living, okay? Phytoplankton. These tiny drifting organisms use photosynthesis to make food. They form the base of the ecosystem's food web. Like other producers, phytoplankton use chlorophyll for photosynthesis. To determine the amount of phytoplankton, scientists measure the amount of chlorophyll in the water. Water temperature. Temperature affects an organism's metabolism, the internal chemical reaction that affects its health and growth. Air and water temperature vary with changes in weather, season, and the global climate. Scientists have found that temperature changes can also affect an organism's life cycle. Got a pain in my side. Kind of hurt. I know you guys think I'm a dork, but I sure do miss you. Alright, zooplankton. These tiny animals drift in water, feeding on phytoplankton and other zooplankton. Scientists measure their abundance by filtering river water through a mesh net and then counting them under a microscope. Different mesh sizes are used to sample small and large. Alright. Watershed nutrients from organic matter. Organic materials from soil, dead leaves, and other materials wash into the river from the watershed, which is the surrounding land. So like when it rains and the water runs off the land, okay, that's called water. That's what watershed is. That water runs off the land, it sheds off the land and into rivers, lakes, streams, and even into underwater aquifers. Husband's still working on the bench. This organic matter feeds many organisms, especially bacteria. Dissolved oxygen. Oxygen is dissolved in water, but water doesn't hold as much oxygen as air in the atmosphere. Dissolved oxygen refers to molecules of oxygen gas, O2, which is different from the oxygen in a water molecule, H2O. One's O2, the other one's H2O. Even though aquatic animals can survive on lower concentrations of oxygen, O2, they are threatened when O2 levels are too low. Both producers and consumers like zebra mussels take up oxygen during respiration, causing oxygen levels to drop. Zebra mussels also reduce oxygen levels by eating producers like phytoplankton that release O2 during photosynthesis. Fish. Fish are the top predators on the river's food web. Fish eat zooplankton, invertebrates, and other fish. Scientists divide fish into two groups. Pelagic fish, which live in open, deeper waters, and littoral fish, which live in shallow water with plants. Plants. Some plants grow where water is shallow and clear enough for sunlight to reach the bottom. Most of the river is too deep and turbid. Busy, fast. Now I lost my place. Scientists have found grass-like plants called water celery in 6% of the Hudson. They produce organic matter for the food web. Zebra mussels. Scuba divers collect rocks from hard areas of the river bottom. In the lab, zebra mussels are removed from the rocks, counted, and their shells measured. I had to turn the page to get the rest of it. Measured. In soft bottom areas, scientists use a device called a benthic grab to collect material. They count the mussels they find in these samples too. They combine data from both areas to estimate the total number of mussels in the river. Alright, I'm going to go back to the other page. Suspended solids. The solid particles suspended in water affect its clarity and quality. These particles, measured as total suspended solids, TSS, can be both biotic, like phytoplankton, and abiotic, like silt and clay. Silt is like really fine dirt. Scientists measure water's TSS by pouring a sample through a filter. The suspended solids are any particles that are too large to pass through. Zebra mussels filter huge amounts of suspended solids, clearing large bodies of water. Since suspended solids block sunlight in the water, lower TSS means more light for the producers. All right, back to the last page. The team gathers data from a small motorboat. They lower probes into the river to measure abiotic, chemicals, and physical factors such as the water's temperature, oxygen, and pH levels, current speed, and the cloudiness of the water, called its turbidity. They also collect water and zebra mussels to test back in the lab. There, they measure the amount of sediment in the water as well as biotic factors, the living organisms in the water. Along the Hudson, the key biotic factors are phytoplankton, zooplankton, bacteria, crabs, fish, and of course, the zebra mussels. Scientists at work. These scientists are collecting samples of tiny zooplankton from the river using long, thin mesh nets. They also collect data about each location using probes that measure temperature, oxygen, and other important factors. All right, stay tuned for vocab. I know you're excited.